start always with the Pledge of Allegiance. Could you please stand? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. It's so good to see everybody here today. Okay, so we're going to welcome Kathy and have her bio later, but we want to welcome Kathy Paterson for coming from Woods Hole Oceanographic. We will hear more about her in a little bit after we have our lunch, and Pat will be talking. Okay. And also, she's got some brochures for us.
Yes.
And they are.
So I brought Oceanographic magazine, which is a publication that we put out. It's a benefit of membership of the institution and highlights some of the science projects that are going on to a lay audience, but really take one. There's also other brochures about the Oceanographic, so take everything so I don't have to carry them.
And as we've been doing, we've been putting tags on little stickers on people that are new and people that are guests. So, where is Sandy Godfrey? Sandy?
Behind you.
We want to welcome you again. Thank you. And tell them where you're from. I'm from Mashpee. Welcome. Okay, and then Martha. My pleasure to introduce Mary Liz's daughter, her gorgeous daughter. It's so good to have her. And remember, Monica was our dancer for the Mardi Gras second line. Okay, so now we have our greeters. Thank you. Raise your hand. Sharon, Avis, Sue. Where's Sue White?
That red light tells us.
And Terry. And where's Mary Beth? Thank y'all for greeting today. Goes to Lisa and Barbara. Where are y'all, Lisa and Barbara? Okay. Lisa wanted to explain these gorgeous centerpieces that she has here. Thank you both, Lisa and Barbara.
Well, we really can't take all the credit for it. We had to go to the expert source nurseries. I think many of you may be familiar with them, and we said we wanted something different. So the woman said, Lynn, it's wonderful. She said, well, why don't we have these edible bowls? They're going flying off the shelves. And I said, well, what are those? She says, well, they're all different kinds of lettuce, but the whole bowl is edible. So what's in front of you right now is an edible bowl. Even the violas and the pansies can be eaten. So think about that. Hopefully you'll be buying tickets for the auction, and that would be great. But anyway, the types of lettuce are, there's Butter Crunch Leaf Gourmet Blend. It's a new one I've not heard of before, which is the speckled one. It's called Speckled Trout. So enjoy, whoever wins.
Thank you both very much. Okay, and okay, and 50-50, if you haven't gotten it, please raise your hand. Barbara Marcia and Jane Murphy. Thank you so much. Pardon? Thank you. And we're supporting Woods Hole Oceanographic, and as we're doing on honor of our 25th anniversary, we're topping it up to $250. So no matter what, we're going to be donating to the Woods Hole. Thank you very much. Okay, Pat. Where's Pat? Oh, she's taking pictures. Where's Pat? Oh. Okay. Tell me about the memory board posters.
Well, as you know, it's been our 25th anniversary last December, and I have been going to our archives at the public library where the members used to maintain scrapbooks for every year. And they're interesting and fascinating what this club has done over the last 25 years. So each month I've gone to the library and I've taken out 2 scrapbooks, one for each for different years, and taken pictures. And they're what I've done. I print and then I put them on the memory boards up that we see outside. So this month month we have 2006 and 2007. And if you look really closely, you'll see one of our members who's here today on that scrapbook from 2006. And that would be Mashpee Rogers. She hasn't changed a bit. She looks the same. In the meantime, I've also planned a little, what we call an icebreaker. So on everyone's table, there's a little piece of paper and a pencil. And I thought it'd be kind of fun while we're eating, or we could do this. It's basically called commonalities. And what we're going to do, the idea of the icebreaker is identify things we have in common with each other. Obviously, one of them is we're all women. Another one, well, I can't say for sure that we're all over 38, but I'm going to guess we are. Or we're all under 25, which I don't think we are. Brown hair, born in this state, born on the Cape, like peach pie, etc. So while we're having lunch, if someone wants to do that, at the end of lunch, each table will read off what they have in common, and we'll see who has the most commonalities. There's no prize for this, it's just a moment to get to know each other and find out what we have in common. But I will take a picture of the table with the most commonalities, and we'll post it on Facebook.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, and then if you see the flyers on the table, the May luncheon, if you've seen it, I'd like y'all to hear about the May luncheon. Okay, it's downstairs May at the mansion. And it's a lady, her name is Brenda Zoli, but she reenacts, she actually was downstairs May in north of Scotland. And so she's reenacting a whole on how it was on the downstairs May. So it's kind of our Downton Abbey theme. So we are wearing fascinators, hats, dressing up, whatever you want to do. It's going to be fun. I think Mary Liz might use your fascinator because she can't cut. So I have a fascinator, which I lived in Scotland for 6 years and I don't have a fascinator. So, and so anyway, it's going to be fun. She's also going to show us how to do a tea, on how to do a tea. So she's going to be demonstrating that. It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a huge success. It's going to be fun. So in conjunction with our May, we're having a blanket drive. And I will let Mary Liz explain what's going on with that.
I'm going to share the microphone with Louisa. Let's go over here. In our the past 2 years in December, we have honored a babysitter and done a shower for the babysitter. And we've really highlighted that diapers that they give away, thousands and thousands and thousands of diapers. Well, last December, Louisa was here and was so enthralled by their presentation that she went to volunteer. And Louisa and I were neighbors and we walked together every morning. So after volunteering, she filled me in another really chronic need that they have, blankets, baby blankets.
Yes, so I had just moved to Mashpee about a year ago, actually, it'll be in May, and I joined the Women's Club, but I was actually looking for a place to volunteer. So I actually sat at the table next to Kelly and we chatted, and I'm volunteering on Wednesdays there. The interesting thing about it is I'm Portuguese, and when I got there, I filled the application and I put on Portuguese. They were totally ecstatic to see me there because they get a lot of Brazilian people. But that's not the reason I volunteer, obviously. I love it there. They do such wonderful work. But I noticed that they get a lot of hats, little hats for babies. And so I was, we went through the hats and they said, we really need blankets. And I knew that Mary Liz and many of you folks like to knit. So I said to her, knit blankets. So thank you so much. They'll really appreciate it. Thank you.
So then I contacted Kelly and Robin and I said, we're planning to do this. How Mother's Day. How many blankets do you give away a year? 3,000. 3,000 blankets. Every mother who comes into a baby center to get supplies, if they're in need to get supplies for a baby, always walks out with a blanket for the baby. They are so totally committed that every baby has a blanket. So they go. So it's, as I say, it's an immediate dire need, but it's a chronic need too. That they go through 3,000 a year. So we're going to have a table set up in May, and if you all could bring a blanket or two, and as I said, it could be lovingly made or purchased with care. It doesn't matter. Babies just want to be wrapped up in love and health. So
I have a question. If you're knitting a blanket, what size should it be?
whatever.
I've seen very small and, a typical size, I'm not too
It's not a specific size.
But they're for babies, right?
For babies.
Yes.
My attention span is about 24 by 30 inches.
Or money, tell me.
Or money for donations. I'll always take money.
It doesn't have to be knitted.
Knitter, crocheted, purchased, quilted. Sue white quilts were always welcome. So that the email will be going out, you'll get a blast, and any questions, let us know, and happy to help out. Terry will be gathering, I will not be at the May luncheon, but then Terry and I will go down the next week and drop them off, because Louise is going back to Portugal.
So like pushing station.
Thank you. But just the thought of a baby not having a blanket is enough to just kill you. Yeah. So, and along that line of thought, Elizabeth came up with a wonderful idea that I'd like to bring by y'all. And I'm going to let Elizabeth talk about it. It's to benefit our members.
Hi, just a couple things I want to remind everyone that I'm happy to send cards to share life events, whether it's condolences, guess well, congratulations to any of our members or their friends. Additionally, something else that we'd like to start as a charitable organization, reading this, the Mashpee Women's Club Board is considering putting together a program to assist our members with their meals and or transportation needs. If this is something that you might be interested in, something you may need, or something that you'd be willing to volunteer in with, help us, please let me know. And an email will go out on this with all this information and my contact information. So thank you.
Thank you, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I mean, a lot of our members, we have, as we're doing our icebreaker, we're a little bit older, we're getting there, except for Martha. And sometimes we have needs and we don't have someone that can help us, but, a nice card, a warm meal, a drive to somewhere, we would love to help you. That's what we're here for. We're a charitable organization. Yes, we have fun, but we know what? We need to take care of each other as well. So, and if you'd like to be in the group too, to help out, please let Elizabeth know. And we don't know the needs if we're not told. So please let us know. I would hate, also with those babies not having a blanket, I would hate to have somebody not have a meal. So please let us know. Okay, now for fun. June fashion show. It's coming up. It's going to be on June 20th, on a Tuesday. We have Port Cargo that is going to be doing our fashion show. What we need now, and I think, Jane, I'll let you talk about that, because you're good at, oh, no, she can't. Oh, the baskets. Because you were better at baskets than I am.
She's eating, but that's okay. Just drink some of the,
There we go. Jean Dennis has offered to help us again with the baskets. When you create your basket with your friends or with whomever, even if it's your own basket, we can pick them up. We will have a station sometimes over behind the theater where I'll have my car with a big back and you can bring them over there and then I'll get them to Jean's. They have to have a list of everything that's in the basket. And this is our biggest fundraiser. It's lots of fun to get together with people. Any kind of basket. We've had all kinds in the past. So really think about getting together with your book club or with any club that you're, any section of our club that you belong to, or just doing one yourself, and helps us raise money and help kids get scholarships to college.
Thank you. And we have 10 models so far, we need 2 more. So if you're interested, please let me or Carolyn Holmes know. We need 2 more models, otherwise we're gonna be bugging you. So, but on the scholarship, I want Sue White to talk to us, because she's in charge of scholarship, and she has something to say.
Good afternoon, ladies. I would like to thank Linda Gurvich and Sid Howe for helping me out. We had 53 applicants this year for our 3 scholarships. Yeah, each scholarship is in the amount of $2,500. What we do is judge on their GPA, their need, and their community service. This is open to both ladies and young men. This year we have 3 young ladies that we're going to honor. I can't give you their names because they're not aware of their scholarships yet, and won't be until the night the scholarships are awarded. I can tell you though, our first recipient, she has been accepted at Framingham State, Fitchburg State, Salem State, and Mass College of the Liberal Arts, and her major is going to be English. The second young lady has been accepted at UMass Amherst, Bryan University, Suffolk University, and UMass Boston, and she's going into finance. Our third young lady has been accepted at Pace University, BC, BU, and is going into nursing and pre-med. All of these students, and each time they put a package together, it's at least 5 or 6 pages long. The first page consists of their name, their address, parental, single or with both parents, and any siblings they have at home. The second page consists of their scholarships, what they have done as far as courses in the high school, and their GPA average. Their third and fourth page is really an essay to us about what they've done, their feelings, their families, and any occurrences they've had in their lives. And usually the 5th and the 6th page is from recommendations. So again, I'm sure the Mashpee Women's Club will honor these girls, young ladies, and wish them well, whatever their endeavor may be.
Thank you. So the money that we raise from the fashion show goes to the scholarship, along with our golf tournament, which is full, but we're taking waiting lists, because people have to back out for different reasons. So the golf tournament is Tuesday, June 27th, and we have Cindy Collins is in charge of that. Okay, now, new members tea, I'm going to have Terry talk about that, which is May 10th.
So I was able to, I think we have 4 new members here right now, and I was able to ask them. New member tea is on May 10th. It's going to be right here, which is a Wednesday, from 10 to 12. We have 72 new members since last May. So I would appreciate if you know someone to RSVP, call me, email me, text message me, or Jean Hammond. So I wouldn't have to call 50 people like I did last year. Just a reminder, okay? And it's going to be right here. Welcome all. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. Okay, I announce this each time, I'm announce it again. The November and December meetings are changed to the Thursday before because of the holidays. So the holiday boutique will be Thursday, the November 16th, and the December luncheon will be Thursday, December 14th. We'll keep it, and it's on our website. We'll keep it up, just so that you won't forget. The July luncheon, we're moving to the Poppy Tent. It's going to be an author, and we'll send out that information soon. We are revising the bylaws. Thank you, Helinka. A round of applause to Helinka, please. And Joanne Burke, our parliamentarian. They have worked diligently on these bylaws. We're almost done. And the main one we're going to be voting on in our annual meeting is to change that annual meeting from the fashion show to another time. because no one wants to have the annual meeting at 200 people at a fashion show. It just is not good. So that's one of the changes. So we'll be sending it out and we'll vote on it at the annual meeting. So we won't ever have to do that annual meeting in June again. Thank you, everybody. Have a good time.
However, we did have 7 voters, the people that own boats, and 5 people born in New England. And one person that lived out in the country, but the favorite color is blue is the highlight.
Well, that's great. So what do we just say, how many commonalities you have in common, total? How many commonalities do you have? 7. 7 commonalities at this table. How about this table over here? Do you have a lot of commonalities? Oh, great. 18 here. So this one here, they all have things in common. Retired, they all have light hair, all have been married, all like wine, all like ice cream, love the ocean, like fish, like coffee, like their air fryer, all wear reading glasses, like to read, all have light eyes, that's interesting. All wearing earrings, and all like walking on a beach. Oh, more. All get sunburned, concerned about our water quality, or have or are getting water filters for their homes. So that's total 18. How about this table? So what you have all together? Oh, we got a tie here. 18. 18 over here, 18 here. They're also very competitive, so now they have 19. Oh, and this table shares that commonality, so they're at 19 as well. Okay, this table, they were all brownies and Girl Scouts, or Girl Scouts. They all saw 80 for Brady. They all visited Florida. They all have a driver's license. They all love to travel. We all pump our own gas. They all wear bras. We all wear reading glasses. All of them are non-smokers. They're all females. They're all retired. They're all knitters. All book club members. All enjoy, quote, beverages. Ex-bowlers, love golf, former ice skaters, and they all babysat. That's great, great. Did you have fun? All right, ladies, so now we've got 19 to beat. We got 2 tables that are tied for 19. How about this table? Okay. Fairly retired. All from Massachusetts, this table? I like to shop, like wine. They all like to sleep. They like butter, they like the season spring, like chocolate, They love dogs. They love ice cream pie. Okay, so they do have one political thing in common, and well, we'll just call it a political item in common, just in case there's anyone that feels differently. But they all feel strong about it, so that's an interesting aspect of the commonalities that you found at this table. But they didn't hit 19. And how about this table, ladies? This is the overachiever table. 24. Okay, they all wear glasses, have lived in Massachusetts, all use email, all have been married, all have pierced ears. They all got up this morning. Which is a good thing. They all like wine. They all have pet bike. They do Zoom meetings. They all have a library card. They all color their hair. At one point. As I was going to say, not everyone has colored hair. None of them have a tattoo. None of them have ever had Botox. They've worked. They all have a passport. Uh-oh. They all have a passport, like fish, have had a pedicure, been on a boat, been on a plane, been on a train, been to a national park, and been to an island. Oh. 24.
Not up today, that doesn't count.
All right, so our list. This table has 20, and we had actually less people to have commonalities. So, oh, Nancy, you're gonna have to help me here.
Oh, my handwriting, I knew that. We're all females.
We're all females.
All right.
We've all been to Europe. We're all still in touch with a childhood friend. We've all skied. We all like historical fiction. We all watch Netflix. And we all wear reading glasses. We all wear rings. And we all bought raffle tickets today. And we like sweets. That's a really in particular goodie for us. We're all over 60. We're all married. All 20 years plus married. We all like to read. Love the beach. We drive.
Right, they won.
Love. Oh, we all love movies. We like fish. Isn't that ironic that we are all eating fish today and we all like it? We shop at Marshall's, and we've all been to both Nantucket and Martha's Vineyard. Well, I hope everyone had, this was just a quick little fun icebreaker where we sit and get to know one another. I hope everyone had fun. And we have a table of winners. We'll take a picture and we'll post them on Facebook.
That's your prize.
In the meantime, I'm going to introduce our guest today. Kathy Paterson is an experienced presenter who has been a part of the communications team at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institute, otherwise known as CUI, for over 30 years. Joining the institution in 1989, she is currently in the communications department and spends most of her time on community engagement. In this role, Kathy works with scientists, engineers, graphic artists, and others to construct new exhibits that creatively explain the newest developments in ocean science. She also works the communications team to engage the public through community events at WUI, as well as off-site events. As well as being a frequent speaker in herself, Kathy has also developed a highly successful summer lecture series that features Hui researchers and their globe-spanning projects. In addition to overseeing the operation of the Hui Ocean Science Discovery Center, Kathy is the institution's liaison with museums around the world, helping them to develop exhibits that incorporate important discoveries made by Hui investigators. Let's welcome Kathy.
Hello. So I just put the mic on for our TV crew or whatever is here, and now I've got the mic for you. So it's really a pleasure to be here today. I had a lovely lunch and got to know some of the wonderful things that people have done through this organization. And one of the things that I love about working at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution is that we do so much as well. So I hope to give you kind of just a sampling of some of the science tools and vehicles that we use to explore the world ocean. So has anyone in the audience been at Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution? Yes, it's great. At the very end, I'll talk about how you can come and visit and do things. Has anyone ever worked there? Your niece. So no one in the audience, so I can make anything up? Okay, all right, so we're all set. So the institution was founded in 1930. So in the 1920s, a group of people got together and said, you know, we need an oceanographic research facility on the East Coast that's of the par of Scripps Institution of Oceanography. So some people, when they got together, they were able to get $3 million from the Rockefeller Foundation. And with that money, we were able to establish Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution, build our first vessel, which was called the Atlantis, a 142-foot sailing vessel, a ketch, as well as build our original building, the Bigelow Building. So that was pretty cool. And science started. Initially, it was a little slow and mostly during the summers, but it didn't take long after the war years that we really were a year-round facility. Nowadays, we are the second largest employer on Cape Cod after the healthcare system. Our annual operating budget is approximately $300 million. So we contribute a lot to incomes in the whole community. And we're a private corporation that gets government funding, yet we are an accredited degree granting facility. However, we do have a joint program with MIT. So we give out very specific doctoral degrees in oceanography and actually contribute to about 10% of those degrees in the field of oceanography to the ocean science community, which is a huge impact. So our purpose is to understand the ocean, its importance to the earth, and humanity, explore the ocean in all its depths and complexity, educate scientists, students, decision makers, and the public. And I have the opportunity to be part of educating the public, so thank you. So here's an aerial view of Woods Hole itself. So a lot of you have been down to Woods Hole, and you'll see that it's a whole ocean science community. This is our dock area, but there's also other organizations in Woods Hole. The Marine Biological Laboratory is mostly here. The National Marine Fisheries is on this side of the picture. We also have a campus about a mile and a quarter away. We have a little over 60 buildings between our two campuses. Most of the expansion is done on the Quissit campus because there's no place to really build in the village of Woods Hole. However, we are in the process of putting together, getting funding to replace our dock. It's nearing the end of its life, and we will be replacing it. The plan is to replace it in the same footprint area. You know how permitting is, makes it a lot easier. So hopefully that will happen in the next 5 years. We'll be able to secure the funding and then replace the dock. And then we'll have to do some work to the buildings there to bring them up to the level. We're also pretty lucky that we have sea level rise people so that we can take into consideration sea level rise on how we build our dock. So we've talked about ideas such as building the dock and then allowing it that we could then add more concrete to the top to raise it as sea level does rise. So we're preparing ourselves for the future because we expect to be there. So let's talk about our vessels. So I mentioned the original vessel that the institution had was called the Atlantis. Well, we still have a vessel this day called the Atlantis. It's the third vessel with that name. We did have an Atlantis II after the first sailing vessel was actually sold to the country of Argentina, and it's still in use today. The Atlantis II was also, I heard it was on eBay after, but I never really confirmed that. But we just got the new Atlantis, I think might be about 15 years ago. I've been at the Oceanographic a couple years, if you didn't hear it, 34. So I've seen ships come and go, and it's pretty awesome. So we currently have the Atlantis, which is the support vessel for our submarine Alvin. So many of you have probably heard of Alvin. I'll talk about it in a little bit when we talk more about the tools and vehicles. The most recent vessel that we have is called the Neil Armstrong. But if I back up and talk about the Atlantis a little bit more, the NASA has named all of their space shuttles after famous oceanographic vessels, and we have the honor of the Atlantis space shuttle being named after our original vessel. They wanted to honor explorers on Earth. So when we were getting a new vessel, and I had to come up with a name, we came up with the name of Neil Armstrong. So we wanted to honor explorers from outer space, and because we're still exploring our Earth. So we hope that the Armstrong, does that one small step for mankind, one giant leap for oceanography. We do have coastal vessels, Tioga, and some smaller vessels, but these are our what we call global vessels. Typical cruises can be a few weeks, 30 days, maybe up to 50 days. When the ships, they're not in port that much, that's actually okay, because that means that they're being funded. When they're sitting at our dock, they're not bringing in monies to support their use. So we want them out to sea. And it's much more cost effective to fly your teams to convenient ports of call throughout the world than it is to have your vessel come back to home port. So a typical voyage can last 2 to 3 years, and then you have legs of each voyage, which is from a port to a port to a port, and finally when you come back to Woods Hole, that's when that voyage finishes. So let's fly into our dock. As you'll see coming in, this a little bit older video, so we no longer have the Nor, but the Atlantis is here. You can tell because of the A-frame in the back. That's one of our Island. Here's our original building, Bigelow, and then Eel Pond. So here, is it going? Okay, it's going. I want to talk about the water on the Earth. So I want to really give you a feel of what a valuable resource water is. So we're going to drain it. We're going to take all of the water from the oceans, from the rivers, from the lakes, what's trapped in underground aquifers, and even the water that's trapped in the poles is ice. And we're going to drain it off and look at it by volume so we can really get a better understanding of what a valuable resource it is. Because when you see it by volume, it just makes such an impression. It really is just the surface of the Earth. Now, we can't use the salt water and drink it right away unless we did desalination. So let's leave the salt water and bring out the fresh water. But most of the fresh water on Earth is trapped as ice in the top sphere on your right. The bottom sphere represents the liquid fresh water on Earth, and there's the moon for comparison. If I told you how many gallons, would it really mean something? This means something. So that's what we study, is basically the water on Earth, mainly the oceans. But we do have people, it's a whole system, so even water that's fresh water ends up in the ocean. They all work together. So now I have some questions for you guys. So what's the longest mountain range on Earth? Andes? Himalayas?
Undersea.
It's a trick question, and I think the only man in the room got it. So the mid-ocean ridge system is actually underwater, and it is the longest mountain range on Earth. It encircles the globe like the seams of a baseball. And that's where we go to do a lot of our really exciting science. So now if I ask you, what is the tallest mountain on Earth? Do we think it's Everest? What? I heard some. It is an island. It is underwater. It's actually one of the Hawaiian islands, Mauna Kea. So now I'm telling you that the longest mountain range is underwater. The tallest mountain is underwater. There are underwater waterfalls and underwater lakes. I will bring you to an underwater lake a little bit later. But it's just so exciting. If you don't look, you don't even know it's there. And this is all on our Earth. So how do we do it? We use vehicles. So this is a family tree, but it's really made of kelp. And our vehicles. So we're just going to start from 1986. Actually, 1985, the Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution led the team with Dr. Ballard and found the Titanic. Quickly, from 1985 to 86, we developed our first remotely operated vehicle, Jason Jr., and that's represented right here. Jason Jr. was brought in to explore the Titanic. So many of you have seen the National Geographic show that really highlights the use of an ROV to explore a shipwreck. We didn't develop the technology to explore a shipwreck. We had developed the technology to explore. It was awesome that it was a shipwreck that really set off the imaginations of people's minds because it put oceanography into everyone's living room. It was a great opportunity to make people aware of what we could do. So since 1986, that was the first time an ROV. So an ROV is tethered to some type of person that controls it. In this case, in 86, it was tethered to the Alvin, which is our human-occupied vehicle, and the pilot and a pilot for the ROV was inside Alvin. So we developed the Jason system, which is more ROVs. The benefit to having an ROV is you're tethered and you get unlimited power. It's nice to be plugged in, isn't it, and have your electricity? You also get real-time information back and data from the vehicle. You can make decisions on the fly because you're seeing what's going on. However, there are some drawbacks. You are limited by your tether. You have to worry about it getting severed if you're on a shipwreck like Titanic. You don't want it to get entangled. But there's a lot of good things. So then we started developing true robotic vehicles, autonomous underwater vehicles, or AUVs. We'll see a quick video of our REMIS, but an AUV, as I said, is autonomous, so it has to bring all of its own power. So that's one of the limiting factors with an AUV. However, it's not limited by a tether. It can go anywhere that its program sends it. And nowadays, we're using AI, which is artificial intelligence, for the vehicle can use its sensors to make decisions on the fly without a human intervention and maybe change its course depending on what it comes across. That's some of the newest technology. And that's one of the things that the Oceanographic is really good at, is testing the bounds of technology to the limits. And sometimes there are failures, but they're really not failures. That's not a correct word, because if you develop a vehicle and you put it down into the ocean and something goes wrong with it, you learn from it, and that next generation of vehicles is going to be even better. So there are actually opportunities when you have a failure. It's an opportunity to learn and improve. So we have these different types of AUVs, but the newest type vehicle that we've been able to develop is called a hybrid. So it allows to take your vehicle and operate it in a tethered mode, and then perhaps change it over to an autonomous mode. So I'll give you a couple examples of why you would use these different types of vehicles. So if you want to bring people, of course, human-occupied vehicle, that's what you do is Alvin, but we'll talk a little bit more about Alvin later. So maybe you have a section of the ocean that you have never surveyed. There's no maps, so we have to make them. You'll take your AUV, put it into the ocean. It's set to go on a pre-programmed path that we call mowing the lawn. So it'll go back and forth in a pre-programmed path. It's going to collect data, which is pictures, and it's going to kind of stitch them together like a giant jigsaw puzzle and make a map of your research area. You collect your vehicle, you look at your map, and then you say, wow, this is where I want to go and take some samples. Then you can take your vehicle, put it in the tethered mode, or take a tethered vehicle, which has manipulator arms and other sampling type of equipment, and go down, and now you've got your map, and go exactly where you want to get more information or get samples. Here's an animation of our REMUS vehicle, which stands for Remote Environmental Monitoring Units. So this vehicle is pretty small. It's 2 people can drop it off the side. I can pick it up with someone. You can use a Zodiac or something very small. You could deploy it off a large vehicle. This one, the REMUS vehicles go to different depth capabilities. So they have a REMUS 100, a 300, a 600, a 3000, and a 6000. So what would you use this for? So say you happen to have a super tanker and you wanted to monitor the hull of it to make sure that there were no damage or anything. You might take a REMUS vehicle and put it underneath your ships. We developed this vehicle and it was extremely successful and people wanted one. So the institution does not compete with corporations or manufacturers. So what happened was there was a spin-off company that most of you have heard of as Hydroid. It's been renamed since then. They manufacture REMUSes for people to actually purchase for whatever their needs are. Other countries may want them, and you know they can purchase them. So other examples of uses of the REMUS vehicle. So anyone like Shark Week with what is it, Discovery Channel? Has anyone seen the Shark Week that has the REMUS vehicle? No? I'll show you a video because it's too cool not to show. Also, remember the horrible plane crash, the Air France Airbus off the coast of Brazil? The French government could not find the wreck of the plane because it went over an underwater mountain range. So they asked the United States government if Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution could actually go and look for it because they wanted to find the black box. Now, the institution cannot just go and do these things. It has to be deemed that we have some type of expertise that's not available that they can purchase. And it was, at that time, they felt that there were no other organizations that had the search equipment and technology to locate the wreck and the black box. So we went for the French government and we were actually able to locate the wreck of the Air France Airbus. And then from there, once they knew where the wreck was, they were able to go in with their own ROVs and retrieve the black box. So you wouldn't think oceanography or Woods Hole Oceanographic would contribute to safer flying or airplanes, but in a sense it does, because the more you can learn about disasters like the Air France Airbus, the safer we can make flying for people. So that's just another example.
The following is a production of Woods Hole Oceanographic Institution.
So this is another example of our REMUS vehicle. And here we have it. In 2013, we were taking it off the coast of Mexico, Guadalupe, and the REMUS vehicle was outfitted with some GoPros. The GoPros are mounted to the nose, one that goes forward, up, down, left, right. Then it has sensors on it. In the meantime, there's a team looking for great white sharks, and we actually attach a transponder to the great white sharks. So you can see here they can get a panoramic view of the surroundings of the REMUS vehicle by using these GoPros and putting kind of the video together. So it's a little hard to see, but it'll get better. So here you'll probably see the transponder that's been on the back of the great white. And so they're getting some nice video of the great white in its natural environment, which is really good. Well, soon the sharks became interested in the REMUS vehicle. And this is all video footage. This is real stuff. It almost looks fake to me. Even I see it now. I've seen it hundreds of times. So they really want to know, these sharks, if this was a food source. So how are you going to tell? Well, you're going to try. So this is what the team told me from the REMUS group. They were like, they're not communicating any great detail with the REMUS vehicle. but they could tell from their laptop that the Remus vehicle was going through the water and all of a sudden was yanked down. And they're like, oh, did we catch some fishing gear? Oh, and pretty soon there's going to be a tooth that's going to come down from the top. It's going to, here it comes. There it is. So if you Google Remus Shark Cam, you can show your friends and family the cool video. This was one of our videos that did go viral, and we were so psyched. So not only have we used it to learn more about great white sharks, that's natural behavior of great whites. It's kind of like, when people are in like the subway and you nudge each other. Well, these sharks are trying to give their body space and nudge. It goes on and on, but I'm going to go. Okay, so before I turn that video on, we also use the Remus vehicle to do surveys of some coral reefs and other areas. We used it to track some sea turtles and learn more information about them. So that was the turtle cam. This is the Remus I showed you before. We called the shark cam, but that's actually spawned off a whole section of the Oceanographic, which is called the Cybotics Lab. So it's basically making these platforms, the Remus vehicle, as a platform to put sensors to learn more about whatever science topic is of the scientist's interest. And that's kind of, a good example of one of the strengths of Woods Hole Oceanographic, which is the combination of the engineering and the science together. You've got the scientists asking the questions and the engineering developing one-of-a-kind tools to help them answer them. So now we're going to go on to a tethered vehicle. So we're going to go to the Jason system, which was the first time it was Jason Jr. at Titanic. Nowadays it's the Jason system. Again, it's tethered, so they have unlimited power. They have real-time access to what the vehicle is seeing. So here they are at an underwater volcano. So did you know that 90% of the earthquakes on Earth happen underwater? And 90% of the instruments that measure them are on land.
It's exploding like an egg.
I can't find my sound, so we have to listen to this guy. I'm sorry. But they're in the control van, and they're really excited because they are actually watching a volcanic eruption on the sea floor. And one of the great things about this is that the lava that comes out on the sea floor, it hasn't had to travel through the thickness of a continent. Now, the more lava travels through the earth, the more chemical reactions keep on happening in the lava, and you lose information about where it's come from. So getting fresher lava, so to say, at the sea floor that hasn't gone through the thickness of a continent gives us a clearer picture of what our Earth is made up of. It's really exciting, and they know it's fresh lava because they're seeing it erupting. And even when lava solidifies and turns into the solid form of basalt, chemical reactions still keep on occurring in the basalt, and again, you lose information. So that's one of the reasons they were so excited about getting that fresh lava. Okay, I'm going to stop that and go back to it. So Alvin is our only human-occupied vehicle. We'll talk about kind of we did an upgrade recently. I used to be able to say we just did, but I think it's already been like 5 or 6 years since we completed that. The next slide will talk about different components. But I wanted to take you to that underwater lake. So to prepare you, I need to have you all bring up your imaginations. And you need to imagine a helicopter flying over a lake, and the propellers are going around. And waves on the lake happen. Does that make sense? Because the air? Okay. Here, we're down, coming up to a lake on the sea floor. Alvin is going through the water. Water's being displaced, and it's going to push down on the lake that's here. what you see that looks like bacteria, that looks like snow is actually bacteria. Now I want you to tell me when you can see the waves on the lake. Are you seeing that? So just like the lakes that we're familiar with, there's a shoreline here, and you're going to see a wave breaking on the shoreline in the seafloor. Isn't that amazing? So there are creatures that live in the, I know that guy, he's so excited. So, does anyone want to guess how you could have a lake on the seafloor? I can hear, but I can't.
Look at that, man.
Usually there's my sound button, but that's okay. So did we have any, someone was saying something about how it could be a lake on the seafloor? We have one, could it have something to do with tides? Not in this case. I don't know if there is. It is something about the freshness of the water, but it's kind of the opposite. It's the salinity of the water. Okay, so the colder water is, the more dense it is. The more salt water has in it, the more dense it is. So a lake on the seafloor is a cold, salty brine pool. So it's down there. Now, how could you get one of these? How could they form? I'll give you two examples. So, you guys have heard of plate tectonics, you got the pieces of a puzzle on the earth and they move around. And that's how we can tell, like, some places in land used to be at the seafloor, and through plate tectonics it's come up. Well, you can have an ancient evaporated ocean that leaves a salt flat that goes back down and gets covered by ocean water again. You have a depression on the seafloor, you have a salt source, and it can create a super salty brine pool on the seafloor. Another way that this could be created, when you're in the Arctic and or Antarctic and ice forms in seawater, when the ice forms, is there salt in the ice? No, there is no salt in the ice. So it precipitates out or trickles out. It makes the water below it saltier, but it's also making it colder because the ice is forming. So then it's more dense and it's going to sink down. And this is actually where you can have an underwater waterfall. And if it sinks down and goes over terrain that's like a cliff, you can create that type of underwater waterfall. We know from measurements that the largest waterfalls on Earth are actually underwater. I just don't have a picture, so you'll have to use your imagination. But if it goes down the water and finds a depression on the seafloor and fills it, again, a brine pool can be created. So I mentioned that we did an overhaul to Alvin. So how it is the vehicle is made of a lot with titanium. There's a titanium sphere where the people are, and we put a new sphere in it that was actually certified to go to 6,500 meters. The prior depth capability was 4,500 meters, which is, 15,574 feet. But I'm sorry, I haven't memorized what 6,500 is. But it's deeper. So it's 98% of the ocean floor we're going to be able to reach with our human-occupied vehicle, Alvin. So in the overhaul, we have the new sphere of 6,500. We're able to put a larger sphere so that it was much more comfortable for the people, because they're spending, 6 to 10 hours together in a titanium ball with no bathroom. And but they have an opportunity to relieve themselves, just like you would if you were in a hospital bed and couldn't get up. Then you bring a device to yourself to relieve yourself. But most people tend to try to prepare as much as possible, like we do before a long ride. We were able to add 2 more viewports. So instead of having just 3 in the sphere, one that goes forward, port and starboard, we now have 3 together like a bay window, and then the port and starboard. The bay window effect allows the pilot to be navigating and the scientific observers to see what the pilot is doing. So it makes it better collaboration in the sphere. New lighting and high definition camera systems, really important because it's pitch black down there where Alvin goes, so they have to bring the lighting. And you know, the photography and video is awesome, but that's scientific data, so we need that. Syntactic foam provides buoyancy, so we did new foam. Syntactic foam is really cool stuff. It's little glass balls with epoxy or glue that is put together that provides buoyancy. It can be used to make shapes, and we use it on the skin of Alvin. And this is human-grade syntactic foam. And what I mean by that, it's all uniform, the little glass balls and the epoxy. It's kind of like if you have, I do like to bake, but I'm not a master baker, but you know, I hear that, you know, sometimes you make those cakes that you actually bake it and you cut off the edges and a little bit of the top and a little bit of the bottom, and it's like all the most amazing baked part is that center. Well, that's what they do with the human-grade syntactic foam. When they make it, they know that the density of the sweet spot inside is what can be used that will be of a quality that there's no chance of implosion, especially in a vehicle that has human beings. An implosion is an explosion inward by crushing. So I know that at 4,500 meters, it's 6,600 pounds per square inch pushing in on Alvin. So I can only guess what 6,500 is. It's crazy stuff. And a new improved control system. So they're actually, I think, able to ascend quicker and descend quicker and ascend quicker. So it's really quite a nice vehicle. So you know how I mentioned the longest mountain range? Well, there's a lot of volcanic activity happening on the seafloor. And in the late 1970s, so when I went to school and I was taught you cannot have life without sunlight. So I'm assuming that many of you in the same room are about my age that you were also taught that in school. But we found out in the late 1970s that on the seafloor, where they expected no life at all, we had amazing creatures living with no sunlight. And that's these tube worms. This is one of the, these are amazing creatures. So this is an example. So they're at a hydrothermal vent, and I'll talk about hydrothermal vents just a minute, but this is a worm that has a red plume on the top. You can think of the plume as the gills of a fish. So it's actually sifting the water for chemicals that are coming out of the earth. This tube worm takes these chemicals and brings it into their gut where they have a symbiotic bacteria that changes the chemicals into a simple sugar that they use for a food source. Those white crabs are just great scavengers. Now, there's not a lot of color here because there's no sunlight down there. You can't see anything. Most of these creatures don't have eyes, or they might have non-functioning eyes. But the red on the tube worm, why would you have something red if color doesn't really mean anything for give any advantage to the animal? They wouldn't waste the evolutionary energy on it. Well, actually in these worms is something that's in you and I. Anyone want to guess what it could be? Blood, hemoglobin. So it's really cool. So it's like, oh my God, they've got blood in them and they're taking these chemicals and they're using it. Just amazing. So do you want to see where they're getting these chemicals from? Here's a hydrothermal vent. So you can think of this as cracks on the seafloor where there's volcanic activity happening within the earth. Water seeps in. It gets superheated from the volcanic activity. Chemicals, rocks, and minerals dissolve into this superheated water. Like water on a stove in a pot with a cover on it, when you heat it up, it wants to expand. That's why the cover starts popping after a little while. Well, this water, once it gets superheated, wants to get out of the sea floor, and it shoots out, finds a hole, comes out, and as it's coming out, it's hitting super cold ocean water. So the rocks and minerals that have dissolved start precipitating out, creating these structures called chimneys. But this is something you actually know about. This is a mine forming on the sea floor. There's copper, zinc, other ores happening. And they call this a black smoker because it's kind of obvious reasons. That's where the precipitation is happening. Sometimes there's white smokers. Depends on what's in the water itself. I just find this so interesting. I'm pretty lucky to be at a place that I get paid to like talk to all of you and learn this stuff. It's pretty amazing. So here's video again. I think I have it in here twice for some reason. But it's still cool. Does anyone have any questions on the smokers?
Where does the red come from?
The red in the tube worms?
Yes.
That is blood in the worms itself. Real blood, hemoglobin. Mm-hmm. It is an animal, so the tube worms, they spawn, and the baby tube worms kind of, they're in the water in the what is it? The currents, they're dispersed by the currents. They find a place. Scientists are still working on how they find a good place to go and anchor themselves to the seafloor and say, this is a place where I'm going to grow. And then they start growing, and they're using those chemicals to actually make a simple sugar to help them grow. They use as a food source.
Does the blood just stay at the end where it's red?
It brings it down into their gut, but I'm not a biologist. I'm not a scientist. I'm just good at listening to them. So,
You're very good.
oh, thank you. Yes?
Question about the mountain range on the ocean floor. Was that from ice age melting? Was that above ground at one point? Do you know? Or is this
I don't know 100%, but I would say that's because of plate tectonics, those mountain ranges are forming, as well as plate tectonics may move things down, but it's plates hitting. Yes, it's plates hitting together. New Earth is being formed and rising up. So it's that whole cycle.
Do you do much on climate change, though?
We do have people doing work on climate change. We actually participated in the COP27 climate conference, and that was in Egypt last year. The next one is in COP28 it's a very high-tech, well-off, rich, Dubai. Okay. At least I could say all positive things there.
How many people can fit in the Alvin?
Alvin has a pilot and 2 scientific observers, which the Japanese have a vessel called the Shinkai 6500 that goes to 6,500 meters. They do the opposite. They have 2 pilots and 1 scientific observer. Alvin is extremely very good at making dives, and it's one of the most active submersibles for the ocean science community if you compare to the small number throughout the world.
How many of those volcanic eruptions do you think are happening on the main floor? Is it constant?
Oh, I would say it's constant, but I think it's a matter of, but they turn on and off. It's like that, plate tectonics there's a hot spot, and so the Hawaiian Islands keep on forming a new island. So they've gone down to these hydrothermal vents and gone there, and then gone back a couple years later and found that it's shut off, or they found a new one happening. So they're always learning. We have Ocean Observatory Initiative that we're working on. So we call it OOI because we love acronyms. And basically what this is it's an opportunity to make an observatory and get a snapshot of a 3D picture of the ocean. So you're going to have surface moorings with these chains that go down to the sea floor with an anchor with instruments mounted to them along the way. You might have others that have a moored profiler. So basically, again, a surface expression or a subsurface expression, an anchor to the sea floor, and maybe a cable. And then this instrument will go up and down the cable periodically and collect information. You'll have gliders that go through this area. You'll have, you could use Remus vehicles, all sorts of sensors to really get an understanding of a very, like an interesting area that if we know more about this one area, we're going to be able to do better modeling of the world ocean itself, which actually can help us maybe predict hurricanes and things like that. So even though it's basic science, there are applications for, for humans and all of us that we contribute to making things better, the better understanding. So here we have a necropsy facility. So an autopsy is to look within oneself. A necropsy is to look within another body. So we do very detailed necropsies of usually marine mammals that have perished and try to find out why. Really interesting place. We have a seafloor samples laboratory. So this is where we have collections of rocks and dredges and cores and things of that nature that we keep in a library for the ocean science community to request samples from. And I mentioned already that we have an MIT WHOI joint program where we give out very specific doctoral degrees in oceanography. And if you want to learn more, please do pick up that Oceanus magazine out there or those other brochures. You can also go on our website, which is whoi.edu, and sign up for our Ocean Insights. It comes out weekly, and it will give you links to different things that are going on that you can learn more about science projects, even events that the team that I work in communications, we do virtual events to help bring you into learn more about the current science that's going on. You can also visit us. We have a tour program in the summer. We have our Splash Lab. If you've got young people in your life, we do hands-on activities on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and with usually high school and college level, because young kids really identify with them, and they can just learn more about ocean science. And that's it. Do we have any more questions, or are we out of time?
You can ask questions, yeah. Just on your last comment about bringing kids to experience some of this stuff, and what would be the youngest age that might be available to them?
So if you had really young ones from 1 to 3, 4 years old, I would say the aquarium, it's not part of the Oceanographic, but you want to make that part of your stop, because who doesn't like to look at live animals? And
What about like 3 to 6?
and 3 to 6. But even the one and above, we have a full-scale mock-up of the personnel sphere valve that you can get into, and you can flick the switches and go for a dive. Sometime if I'm sick of sitting at my computer, I'll go out and go for a dive with someone and talk to them about it, you know. We also have a room on Titanic. We've got the shark cam. The actual housing of the shark cam is there in that video. They love sharks. So there's like 3 good hot exhibits.
Okay.
There's many more that would be interesting to the adults in the group.
Sure. Yeah.
Are they all in the aquarium?
No, the ones except for the aquarium, I was talking about what's in our Ocean Science Discovery Center at 15 School Street.
Thank you. I have to say, I follow you on Facebook. I am absolutely fascinated with the pictures that you put on there of some of the dives and the creatures that you find down there. It's amazing.
So I work in communications, and we are always talking about how lucky we are to have this beautiful, amazing video and still images to share with people. And it's half the battle in telling the story of the science and engineering that we do. So thank you.
You did just write a book.
So the institution received a $25 million Audacity grant to study the ocean twilight zone. So that's just after the surface when the light starts dissipating and you can't see the light anymore, and you have all the bioluminescence. And part of this, part of this award is to help do outreach and educate people on the ocean twilight zone. So we did just work and released our first children's book, Where the Weird Things Are. And You know how kids love weird things. I should have. I didn't think about it. I should have brought a display. It's a picture book, so it can start as young as you want, and then it has some wording, and you get to follow Mezzo. Mezzo is short for Mesobot, which is one of our vehicles that we just developed to study the ocean twilight zone.
So where would they be available for sale, online or?
On our online store, which is shop.hui.edu, at both of our stores in the village. I think it's also on sale at 8 Cousins. We worked with 8 Cousins to do things. There's actually a book reading today at 2 o'clock in Falmouth Public Library. I know I was supposed to go, and I'm like, sorry, I'm busy. I won't be able to make it. So, yes.
Much earlier in your talk, you mentioned use of artificial intelligence. Okay. From what I'm reading in other areas, it's not always reliable. How do you find it?
Well, I can't say that I can give a direct answer on how reliable it is, but that is one of the things that they're working on. It is a new field. So artificial intelligence, I think it's a great question, and I don't have a great answer for it, except for we're currently working on integrating artificial intelligence into our vehicles. Yes?
How many, I have a grandson that is very interested in going to MIT, but he's also trying to figure out what he's interested in. He loves to go down to he loved going down there the whole time he was growing up.
Yep.
Do you have any programs that would be focused on maybe, kids that are sophomores, juniors in high school?
We don't. We do focus our education programs at the graduate level. We do have a guest student program that's very limited. There's just a few kids that get into it. It is limited to the towns right around us, so yes, it might be an opportunity, but I wouldn't get your hopes up because it's so limited. However, on our website of whoi.edu, we have resources for programs that we're aware of. Actually, the Woods Hole Sea Grant maintains that wet part of the website, so we know that at least once a year they check that these programs still exist. Anything else? Oh, I wanted to say one more tidbit. Anyone's a gardener? You can thank the ocean for every other breath you take, because the phytoplankton in the ocean is so, even though it's so small, it's so good at making oxygen that every other breath you take probably came from oxygen created from the ocean. Oh, I shut it off automatically.
I want to thank Kathy. This was awesome, and we appreciate you coming, and thank you very much.
Thank you.